This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL. Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
This is March. This is Helmets and Heels as well. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, JJ LaSelva batting pinch hit. That doesn't make any sense, but that's this time of year in a nutshell, is it not, Taylor Dahl? We've got NFL Combine fallout to discuss. We've got March Madness, or NCAA Tournament men's basketball to discuss. We've got NBA, Major League Baseball spring training. Oh, so much going on in the wide world of sports, and we will hit it all for you here on this Big Chief Tire Monday. Be sure to check out Big Chief Tire, of course, is a family-owned company that has been in business for 60 years, 5 locations around the city of Jacksonville. They do a ton for our community. Find them online at wekeepjacksrolling.com. I already teased where we will begin this Big Chief Tire Monday, Taylor, during the handoff. We've already got some submissions on the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. I promise. I was not this all over the place during the handoff or during the previous 2 hours I've been in the building. But our question of the day for you Heeligans is, in the spirit of March, in the spirit of many Jaguar fans, because of, quite frankly, the state of the team the last 10 to 15 years, one of their favorite times of the calendar year, 5 players. We're going to let you do a little bit of Christmas shopping in March. 5 players between free agency, the NFL draft. Who are the 5 players come May 1 you want to see on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster for 2025? The tampering window officially opens on Monday. Free agents can officially be signed next Wednesday at 4 p.m. when the league year begins. Tomorrow is the tag deadline for teams who are able to franchise or transition tag a player. And, of course, the NFL draft will have a couple more weeks until that comes around. But certainly coming out of the NFL Combine, Taylor, Combine eyes out in full force, I'm sure here in Duval as well. And so we're excited to welcome you guys into this conversation of celebrating a great time of the sports calendar year. And who are those 5 players you want to see added to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, it'll be a fun conversation because I think that, obviously there's a million different ways we can go with this, and it's fun to do this before free agency because now we can have this conversation of we don't know. This is a lot of new faces in the building, and we don't know which direction they will go. I think that if Trent Baalke was here, this would maybe be a little bit different of if we were comparing who we want here and who we think that will actually be brought here. I made the joke in our meeting earlier today when we said, we were talking about free agency coming up, and I said, honestly, signing no free agents would be better than what they did last year. And so I think that this time of year is so much fun because there are so many options, and you see all of the list of the top available free agents when it comes to all the different position groups. And I do think for a long time, and we've had this conversation on here before, Mia, that for a long time it felt like free agency was just you're getting kind of scrubs that the other teams didn't want. And I do feel like the last couple years it's started to change a little bit just because of how much you're having to pay quarterbacks, and they're having to make some more difficult decisions of who they can keep on their rosters. And because of that, you are seeing some big names getting signed in free agency now and that are immediately making impact on some of these teams. And so that's when the strategy comes in, though. How much do you want to spend? And we heard Shad Khan say he wants to start building through the draft, but I do think it's important to bring veteran guys in here that you also know experience. You can't take the entire gamble of hoping that the draft is going to hit on everything because obviously that has not worked in the past.
I also think that, and philosophically speaking, Trent Baalke did say, while he was still the general manager, he wanted to move to a world in which the draft is how the Jaguars are filling out their roster, creating that system of onboarding. However, in year 4 last year, we suddenly found the Jags still trying to slap Band-Aid free agent fixes on the holes on their roster. And as you alluded to, it did not pan out. As I alluded to, 904-641-1010 is the number to reach us at with your 5 names between free agency and the draft. We're letting you go on a shopping spree. Who do you want to see added to the Jaguars roster for 2025? We'll go back and forth in sort of not a snake draft because we're allowed to have duplicates, but we'll go back and forth here, Taylor. And I will side with our first Heeligan, who's already submitted his list of 5 or her list of 5 on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. 386 says Mason Graham. And I agree.
Yeah.
I was at brunch yesterday. Kevin's brother and sister-in-law were in town, and we sit down at brunch yesterday, and the first thing that Patrick says to us is, Wow, that really stinks that you guys aren't going to be able to take Mason Graham or Will Campbell because they have short arms. To which we both celebrated.
Like, it doesn't matter anymore.
We're free. We are free. It doesn't matter that Mason Graham has short arms. It doesn't matter that Will Campbell has short arms. I mean, Mike and Tony were just discussing Taylor. It doesn't matter if, in theory, Tet McMillan runs a 4.7 or a 4.6 at his pro day. He did not participate at the NFL Combine in the on-field workouts or the testing, and so he'll participate in Tucson at the University of Arizona's pro day. It doesn't matter in a sense, because obviously James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, they're going to take those measurables. They're going to take those testing numbers into account.
Yeah.
But certainly the idea of you don't clear a certain threshold, it doesn't matter what your tape says to me.
Yeah.
That is out the window. So I will say Mason Graham is my first player. However, the show that Will Campbell put on, and it wasn't necessarily the headliner coming out of the final day of on-field workouts in Indianapolis yesterday, but still a day in which many people said, you know what, turn on the tape. He did not just enough, more than enough in his 40 time and his on-field workouts to say, yes, he probably should go top 10. And additionally, the quote that our friends Demetrius Harvey, John Shipley, and so many who were on site when Will Campbell met with the media on Friday, Saturday, the quote regarding, I don't care what position I play. If you're going to take me in the top 5, I'll play wherever you want me to play. If that's at right guard, I'm ready to play at right guard. I don't know. I think somebody got in his ear and said, maybe the Jags are looking at you and saying, hey, we want you to play. We just need you to move positions. And he's all for it. He's all ball. So I'm going to say Mason Graham with an asterisk because Will Campbell is in that same boat for me.
Yeah, and I think that those are the two names we are going to be talking a ton about this next month and a half leading up to a draft, I guess a little over a month and a half. But when you go through and you look, I saw somebody comparing some of the offensive line prospects from previous years and the ones you want these guys to be compared to. And so someone posted this graphic, and it was 315 plus pound offensive lineman with over 30-inch vertical, sub 500 40-yard dash. Will Campbell and Armand Mimbo, is that how you say it?
Yes,
Mimbo.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Both of them, which he was a massive riser this weekend. That's a name I think we also will be talking about, and because he's just one of those guys that by the end of the day everybody was talking about. But those two guys that they're sitting by with the only guys in this category since 2003 NFL Scouting Combine, the other two guys that fit that, Tristan Wirfs and Trent Williams. So I think that those are some good names to be sitting beside. But yeah, I think that for me right now, I am saying Mason Graham. I think that if this combine showed us anything, and we have already heard that the interior offensive line is such a deep position group in this draft that I do think you have options in second, third, fourth round that are still going to be guys that are going to be immediate starters in the NFL. And so I do think that steers me towards that way a little bit, because there were so many names that were popping up this weekend that I'm still confident in, like an Armand Mimbo. And so I'm going to go Mason Graham also. I think that I've said this a lot of times the last couple weeks that I want to see at least 4 trench guys, and that's whether it's 2 defensive tackles and 2 interior offensive linemen, or 3 and 1, however, but I want 4 new guys on those lines to be starting at the season, because I just don't see anybody there that you can count on the longevity that I feel like is going to take this massive step that what you'll need in this Campanile defense, and that's going to be a lot of it too. What type of things have you seen with Green Bay and what he was able to do? And some of my names I'll read later have to do with more of that. And so I think that it will be fun to see this offensive lineman, defensive tackle argument back and forth. But I do also have to start with Mason Graham. At this point in time, in a week, that could change.
Do I have to say Will Campbell now just because you said Mason Graham? I honestly, for argument's sake, I'm going to, Taylor. So let's flip up. So Taylor's got Mason Graham. I've got Will Campbell. Several of you have submitted your top 5 wish lists between free agency and the NFL draft for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's fill out the one for 386. Mason Graham, Gray Zabel, Jalen Royals, Javon Holland, Jair Alexander. We'll get to some more throughout the duration of the program. I'm going to get a little wild with my second pick on my wish list, my shopping list, Taylor Dahl. Because I did pose this scenario yesterday, sitting on the couch, watching the offensive linemen on-field workouts at the scouting combine. Actually, you know what? Hey, JJ, since you're filling in, I know we're still working through various liners and sound effects. Can you get me an Imagine, please, if you have that available, by Closets by Design? We're working on the Imagine because this is a scenario that I started workshopping yesterday in my brain, and now that Taylor's gone with Mason Graham, and I'm going to go with Will Campbell. We're gonna get a little wild with this one. A couple more wish lists just while we wait. We've got 762's wish list. Again, this is between the draft and free agency. Get as wild as you want. Calais Campbell, Myles Garrett, T. Higgins, Nick Emanuori out of the safety out of South Carolina. We'll probably circle back to him. And T-Mac, Tet McMillan out of the University of Arizona. That is from Bush Drive Rich. We'll get to a couple more of those on the text line and, of course, on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line as well. Keep them coming there. It's time. Are you ready, JJ?
Imagine with Closets by Design.
Imagine your home totally organized.
Imagine your home totally organized. Imagine it so beautiful with personalized colors, designs, whether you want a hat rack or a shoe rack. I sat down with Francis, my designer, and we mapped out exactly what my dream closet would look like. It is now a reality. Be sure to check out my personal social channels for the full video. Imagine for a second, folks, in a twist of fate, Liam Cohen was previously employed, Taylor et al. By what organization? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes.
In the second round of the 2015 NFL Draft, after selecting, yes, Jameis Winston, friend of our lives and program for Taylor and I. We are both Jameis Winston apologists to a fault almost. After selecting Jameis Winston with the number 1 overall pick, in the second round, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers double dipped. They selected Donovan Smith, tackle, at the top of the second round. And they selected Ali Marpet, their center of the future, who, before his abrupt retirement, looked like he'd be their center for 10 to 15 years. Mm-hmm. What have we heard Tony Boselli, Liam Cohen, and James Gladstone continue to say ad nauseum over the last 2 weeks, Taylor? What is the
offensive line?
There it is. Imagine for a second, folks, if the Jaguars were to select Will Campbell with the number 5 overall pick, maybe even trade down to 7, potentially with the New York Jets, and then select him there. Let's throw that scenario out there. And then came back into the first round and selected number 2 on my shopping wish list for your Jacksonville Jaguars, Gray Zabel, center, North Dakota State. While, yes, James Gladstone has gone on the record and said, much like his mentor, Les Snead, he is A-OK with trading back and acquiring more picks. We did see, with Gladstone leading the charge with the behind-the-scenes videos from the Los Angeles Rams last year, he had no issue trading up in the second round to go get Braden Fisk out of Florida State. I wouldn't be surprised. Not necessarily the same player. Obviously, we
so
probably
a double dip, you're saying.
A
Your
double
1,
dip.
2 are Will Campbell, Gray Zabel.
My number 1 and number 2 on my shopping list for the Jacksonville Jaguars as we begin the month of March, Will Campbell, Gray Zabel. Imagine for a second, folks, if you could plug and play, set and forget 2 positions along the offensive line in not just one NFL draft, but one single round. We'll discuss that and more, as well as your top 5 wish lists. I see plenty of them on the MyBookie Digital Studio on YouTube. Keep them coming there. Keep them coming on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. We'll get the rest of Taylor's list. We'll get to mine. It is Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL.
Rick Ballou takes you into the night.
He's the actor in the family. Then we got the big guy.
Ryan the Hacker Green.
Yes, and what I most admire is the way you've captured the voice of the common people.
Right after Rick Ballou. Evenings on 1010XL.
Elevate your happy hour at the new Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road. Inspired by the vibrant and diverse culinary traditions of the Mediterranean, Dua has a unique South Florida vibe and welcoming atmosphere. Savor handcrafted cocktails and delicious happy hour specials every Monday to Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. Whether kicking back after work or starting your night in style, Dua Restaurant and Lounge on Bay Meadows Road is where good times and great flavors meet. DuaLoungeJacks.com.
Hey, this is Coach Jason Gibson of your Jacksonville Sharks. I know the importance of a strong game plan, and that's exactly what I've got with Clay Solar Installation Partners. They did the install of the solar panels at my house, and I couldn't be happier. Lower energy bills, clean power, and a winning team that made the whole process easy. If you're looking to save money and go solar, trust the pros at Clay Solar. Call Karen at Clay Solar today and tell them that Coach Gibson sent you.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Pick it here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
If fishing is in your DNA, hop in the boat with Captain Kevin. It's the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Hey, poker fans, the stakes are high this month as Best Bet dishes out over $550,000 between Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the St. Augustine poker rooms. Feeling lucky? How about $300 every 15 minutes at the table games, or cash in on the $20,000 race to a race, or every Friday, $1,000 every 30 minutes. And go for the green on St. Patrick's Day, where a Royal Flush in clubs wins up to $5,000. See all the details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic.
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow. I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
JJ LaSelva stepping in for one RJ Saunders, who did a masterful job filling in for ET on the drill this morning. Lauren Brooks on vacation. I am Mia O'Brien. She is Taylor Dahl, and it's time to go shopping. The Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, will be shopping in free agency as well as the NFL draft, and so we decided to begin this Big Chief Tire Monday with our own little shopping exercise. Christmas in March is what we are calling it. Be sure to leave not only your top 5 wish list on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010 or the MyBookie Digital Studio on YouTube. We also have it available on X. JJ already tweeted it out. Who are the 5 players through draft or free agency that you want on the Jaguars next season? That is our question of the day here on Helmets and Heels. I've already given you my first 2. Will Campbell, left tackle, soon to be right guard, LSU. Gray Zabel, offensive tackle, soon to be center, North Dakota State. Taylor Dahl has selected Mason Graham of Michigan with her first pick. And with your second pick on this wish list, Taylor, you say...
So I'm going to preface this by saying I am not going in a particular order. So some of these draft picks doesn't technically mean I think this will be like the second draft pick. These are just 5 guys in total that I'm hoping that throughout some point in free agency and some point in the draft, the Jags will be able to land and take over. And to me, it's all of the position groups that I think are the biggest needs for me. But this is a name we did mention very briefly last week, Mia, and that's going to be cornerback Maxwell Hairston. After this weekend, he ran a 4.28. I'm sure everybody saw that because his speed's insane. He also had a 39.5 vertical. But when you go back, and obviously he played at Kentucky, he was a corner at Kentucky. When you go through and you look at some of his strengths, I just think they fit so well with what you can expect from a Campanile defense. The Packers ran a lot of zone, and I think also last year some of the players on the Jags defense or in the secondary were exposed and playing so much man coverage, so I would expect a lot more in that realm, especially because that does feel like it's Campanile's kind of specialty when it comes to that. But yeah, and Maxwell is somebody that they say is elite in zone coverage. He is one of those guys that his change of direction's insane, and you could see that in some of these drills he was running with the cone drills and stuff like that. And so there's some things that you have concerns about, which every prospect you do. Some people talk about the open field tackling, how that needs to be worked on a little bit. But to me, I have said this many times too, I think that corner position is something that you need to look into. I like Tyson Campbell a lot. Tyson Campbell struggled with injuries recently, though. So I do think that getting a corner pretty high up and one that you do know can fit in this type of defense pretty quickly is important. You've got your nickel and Jarian Jones. That's set there. But I do think that the opposite of Tyson and then even a backup for Tyson are really, really important to come out of, and whether it's free agency or the draft this year.
See, what's interesting about the corner position, because I've gone back and forth as well, Taylor, especially hearing, from so many people in Indianapolis last week and even listening back to Move the Sticks, their recap podcast, and as well as Matt Miller of ESPN popped on with our friend John Ozier on the Ozone podcast. Every single person has been very open that while the talent is there at the top of the cornerback class, in terms of finding capable starters past the second or third round, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Now, my argument to that we noted last week, I heard from somebody in the Rams organization. And again, we don't know how James Gladstone is going to attack his first NFL draft. And as our friend Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic noted, don't judge him solely based on this draft because he's going to be taking the ideologies.
He's going to be a little bit outside this year, too.
It's going to be the ideologies from the scouting staff that has been here meshed with the ideology he's bringing in. And so I don't think it'll be an indictment of exactly where he is going to take this team in the next few years. But one thing this person from the Rams organization said to me, if you can affect the cornerback and you believe in your defense coordinator, you will figure out the back end.
Yeah.
And if you can just load up the way that the Philadelphia Eagles have loaded up on the defensive front, drafting edge rushers seemingly every single year, defensive tackles every year in the first 3 rounds, it doesn't matter who's back there. And that's not a knock on Tyson Campbell. That's not a knock on Travis Hunter, who I've seen some of you submit as your choice for who you would like to see on your wish list among the 5 you can possibly have. But for me, Taylor, I think about that philosophy and I say, you know what? Not that you're going to roll with Buster Brown, but maybe you are okay with, I know the reports out there about Carlton Davis and his interest perhaps with the Jags. Carlton Davis is not on my wish list because for me, when I think of Carlton Davis, I think of the time where C.J. Stroud made him burnt toast, and that was C.J. Stroud's coming out party in a Texans victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2023. Yeah. I still have not forgiven Carlton Davis for essentially being the reason that everyone wanted to start talking about C.J. Stroud. And so, therefore, he is not on my wish list. Yeah. But philosophically speaking, that's the reason that I do not have a corner from the draft on my wish list.
Yeah, and I think that the cornerback, because obviously there's some free agents when you're talking about a Travarius Wards. People are talking about a DJ Reed. You mentioned Carlton Davis. Byron Murphy, I heard the Vikings are trying to work something out with, so I wouldn't expect that one. But there's definitely names, and you can say as much as you want about Philly's front and how much it helps their back, but Quinyon Mitchell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, that is a stacked secondary too. So I do think that they help each other. You can't just abandon those guys back there. And I think that sometimes, especially when it comes to injuries, and that's what we've seen here the last few years, is you feel like going into the season that position groups are stronger, but then the moment you lose one piece of it, everything falls apart. And we've seen that in the wide receiver group. We've seen that in the offensive line. We've seen that up front on the lines. We've seen it in linebackers when Foye got hurt. Luckily, Ventrell came in and kind of stepped up and made a move, but there was still it falls off. And that's what I think the Jaguars have to start planning too, is because this is one of these, you have to start building beyond, okay, we have 22 starters. You need a lot more than that. And I think the depth has been a massive issue here. And that's why as soon as you lose one piece, everything has started to fall apart.
Let me clarify, and then I'll give you my third pick on my wish list, and then we'll hit a couple on the text line and the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. Here is what the Rams secondary looked like last year. Cam Curl, once upon a time a 7th-round pick of the Washington Commanders, signed as a pretty affordable free agent with the Los Angeles Rams. Cam Kinchins, Miami's own, a 3rd-round pick, the 99th overall pick by the Rams. Akello Witherspoon, 66th overall pick by the Niners. Again, an affordable free agent deal for the Rams. Quentin Lake had a great career at UCLA, did not test well at the Combine. Yeah. He is now the starting nickel and has played mighty fine since being drafted by the Rams in the 6th round in 2022. And I don't even need to go down the road of Darius Williams, once upon a time an undrafted free agent, got paid handsomely by his hometown team, and how now has since returned to Los Angeles. So, again, maybe the Eagles, maybe that wasn't the best comp for me, but the best comp, obviously, with James Gladstone is the organization he's coming from, in which they have not invested 1st or 2nd round draft picks in the secondary. They have gone out and they have found the right match for their system. And so
they also had like the 22nd ranked secondary though. So I don't know if that's where you want to sit. Sure.
But look at their pass rush.
Yeah. But that's what saved their defense in a light. But there were still a lot of issues early on in the season. And yeah, they had 2 rookie guys, so they started kind of playing better. But because of that, there was a lot of deep stuff allowed, and there was a lot of, nobody was able to run on them, and there was a lot of pass rush. But there was a lot of issues in the secondary for people being able to, if you go back, especially the first 6-7 weeks, it was rough on their secondary. So you definitely don't want that.
You mentioned Byron Murphy probably not going to be available in free agency if he and the Vikings, after he signed a 2-year deal in 2023, if they can come to some sort of compromise. Another veteran from that Vikings defense, which was among the tops in the NFL last year, is on my wish list, and that's Harrison Smith, a name that I'm kind of surprised the Vikings really haven't reached out to, given his longevity there. Yeah. The production still is there. The reason I say Harrison Smith, not only to bring a veteran voice to that defensive back secondary room that has been one of the youngest, if not the youngest, on the Jacksonville Jaguars. 3 of the 5 defensive coordinators that Liam Cohen interviewed had some sort of tie to the Brian Flores Vikings. It is very clear to me that he is trying to emulate what Brian Flores was able to do in Minnesota last year. Anthony Campanelli obviously worked with Brian Flores in Miami, then was retained by Mike McDaniel. And so he also got a sampling of Vic Fangio and what he has been able to do as a defensive coordinator and what now Campanelli can bring to Jacksonville. And so for me, a tie from the Minnesota Vikings, I don't want to say it's a lock, but I think it will creep up once more as we hit free agency.
Yeah, and there's some rumors that he may retire, so we'll see. I think he's entering his 14th season, so that is somebody that's a very kind of Band-Aid over a bullet hole, but maybe that's what they want right now. Maybe you go get a guy like that who is entering their 14th season in the NFL, who has had a lot of time and experience, and Campanile is familiar with, obviously, because he was playing against him in the NFC North, and you get somebody else in the draft at some point, and you're able to develop him. I know I'm going to share mine on the other side, but I do have another Vikings tie in my list, but it is not him.
Before we get to the Vikings tie and we continue our wish list, we'll get to yours as well on the text line and on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. JJ, we got a bit of breaking news, if we've got the breaking news available, that this might affect some of your wish lists for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, gosh.
Or we can hit at that. Either way, we love breaking news. We love that. It's okay.
Whatever it is.
Listen, JJ's got all the right buttons. He already had the tweet sent out for me.
Our breaking's also just new anyways. We used it for the first time.
Just happened.
Here we go.
Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, reliable indeed. And what if I told you that the Wicks own?
Breaking news.
There it is.
Yay!
Double news.
Double news. because not only does this affect potentially many people's wish list as we go through this exercise, but this one hits a little close to home. Brunswick's own Darius Slay has been released by the Philadelphia Eagles. If he is designated as a post-June 1 release, the Eagles would save $4.3 million against the cap. There were rumors maybe he'd want to come to Jacksonville a year ago, 2 years ago. Is now the time that Big Play Slay finally returns to Southeast Georgia, Northeast Florida? Let's debate on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. The world will be watching Ponte Vedra.
And the Scheffler victory train just keeps on rolling.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Teed up by Roundtree Sauce
Surfside Pools.
and Performance Painting.
On 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional non-commissioned sales team puts your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
Hey, this is David with Royal Pest Services. The fact that we've been bundled up the past month gave us an idea. Let's bundle up also with our CenterCon and Pest Control bundle, starting at $349. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for your free inspection.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Hi, Flying Jacko here, and when you're inside the Kuhn Flowers showroom, you'll find a wide array of gift ideas that'll take care of any gift-giving situation. Spend a few minutes there and you'll see for yourself. Kuhn Flowers on Beach Boulevard.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 3rd, 2024, Iowa's Caitlin Clark becomes the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer with 3,685 career points.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window
World,
simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit Rocket.com. That's Rocket.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
You can find our friends at Big Chief Tire at WeKeepJacksRollin.com with over 7,600 five-star reviews. You know Big Chief Tire provides quality service, tires, brake services, alignments, oil changes, oh so much more. WeKeepJacksRollin.com. We keep rolling here on a Monday edition of Helmets and Heels. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, JJ LaSelva with us on this fine Monday. Lauren Brooks on vacation. RJ Saunders was batting pinch hitting. I keep saying batting pinch hitting, and that doesn't make sense. He pinch hit. He pinch hit. I promise. I know baseball terms, folks. Yes, I know the terms. He was pinch hitting on the drill this morning for ET. We are so excited to be with you as we go through this exercise, our top 5 wish list between free agency and the NFL draft. Who are the 5 players you want to see added to the Jacksonville Jaguars roster? We're going to go through this quickly because we also have Daniel Griffiths, our friend, joining us at 1:18 to go inside the numbers for your Jacksonville Jaguars and beyond, not to mention the Terminex Pests of the Day, a little college basketball talk as well. Alex Capa, another veteran player, just released here in the last few minutes. He by the Cincinnati Bengals. In case you missed it, the Philadelphia Eagles have released the pride of Brunswick, Georgia, Darius Slay as well. Taylor, Darius Slay, is that a corner on the veteran market that perhaps you say, yeah, this is one that I think would be a match for the Jacksonville Jaguars if they go free agent to find that player opposite Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, which maybe they do. Again, this is another player. He will be headed into his 13th season, but didn't have quite the year personally that he probably wanted this last season, but he's going out a Super Bowl champion. He was a Pro Bowler the 3 seasons before that. So it's not like you're too far removed from that. You're only this last year removed from him not being at the top of that. There were some moments last year that you felt like things were slowing down a little bit for him, but I do think he's somebody that could come in. And again, if we're talking about one of these guys that you want to come in and maybe be here for a couple years, mentor some of these younger guys, get things just back on track.
Come back to where you grew up.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think that's a name that you would want to talk to. How much is it going to be? How long of a contract is he going to want to have? What else do you see in the corner world? Are there some corners in the draft that maybe you like a little bit later to where if you bring in a Darius Slay, you can say, okay, this can be like a year or two thing, and we have an eye on one of these other corners that can be sitting behind him, or a Buster Brown. How much do they think a Buster Brown can learn something like some stuff from a Darius Slay? He's a proven player in the league, and that is the kind of energy you want on a team. But I think it does depend how Gladstone wants to approach this offseason and how much he wants newness, how much he wants veteran guys, the mix of that, because I think from team to team, it is different in that aspect.
You have Mason Graham and Maxwell Harris in the corner out of Kentucky so far on your wish list. Who is number 3?
Yeah, my number 3, I'm going to go back to the ties, that Viking ties we were talking about, and I'm going to go safety Cam Bynum. I know there's some questions around maybe this last season with him, but I think the year before, Cam played really, really well, and he's also started in 54 straight games for the Vikings, and so I think that's something you have to keep an eye on because, like I said, when we're talking about injury issues and other stuff like that, He's like I said, he had some struggles this last year, but I do think some of that were other things maybe surrounding with the Vikings. They were trying to figure out a few things, and it started to settle down later in the season with him. The one thing that really stands out is even through that, he still had several picks last year and multiple forced fumbles. He's one of those guys that he's going to go after the ball, and I think that when you look at both Green Bay and Minnesota's secondaries last year, that was some of their strengths, is making sure you're forcing those turnovers and getting the ball, and obviously that's going to be a focus for Campanile. So I do think this is someone, I'm not sure what that contract would be. I'm seeing some people still expecting it to be maybe a little high for what the Vikings would want to pay him, and that's why he is maybe going somewhere else. So I think that contract is a question mark for me. So there is a little asterisk because I don't think I would want to pay him too much. I still think there's some development to be had there, but I do think you have the right coaches in place here to get back what you saw in 2023 with Cam Bynum.
So for those keeping score, I had Harrison Smith of the Vikings. We already discussed the potential of Byron Murphy, the corner for the Vikings, and Taylor does pick Cam Bynum. So some sort of Minnesota player from that defense that, again, it bears repeating, 3 of the 5 candidates that Liam Cohen interviewed for defense coordinator had a tie to Brian Flores or the Minnesota Vikings. And so file that one away, folks.
And I will say Minnesota, if they proved anything last year, they're not scared to get rid of their big names. And so I wouldn't expect them to be freaking out at all, because last year when this happened and the Danielle Hunter thing was going on, they were like, it's fine, we'll go get Jonathan Grenard, and the guy played absolutely insane. So I think they have enough evaluation when it comes to, especially with Brian Flores and what he's able to do with some of these players, they don't feel like they have to hold on to all of these guys.
I also would look forward to Cam Bynum TikToks if he was to come to Duval
Get
County.
some fun personalities here.
Number 4 for me in the free agent realm on my wish list, I am signing Malcolm Kuntz to a prove-it 1-year deal. The former third-round pick of the Las Vegas Raiders missed the entire 2024 season after suffering a knee injury in the lead-up to Week 1. Ultimately had to have surgery, missed the final year of his 4-year contract. He played in all 17 games the 2 years prior, including an 8-sack season in 2023, which coincidentally enough, the pass rush specialist on that 2023 Raiders staff, none other than Jaguars defensive line coach Matt Edwards. So perhaps a Kuntz reunion. Originally, I had him on my list prior to Trent Baalke being fired because, well, we love hurt guys and prove it 1-year deals because that's what Trent Baalke does.
Yeah.
I think a reunion between Edwards and Kuntz, independent of the injury, which, look, maybe that affects and we've heard it time and time again with ACLs and Achilles. It's really not till the second year after that you start seeing the player return to full form.
Yeah.
He's still a young player in my eyes, and so I think he's worth the dart throw. At 6'3", 250 pounds, you would finally have depth going into the NFL draft behind Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. And that, for me, is non-negotiable.
What's that like?
At the very least, even if it's a dart throw, if it's a Jihad Ward who you don't even know if they're going to make the 53-man roster, they need to sign somebody on the open market prior to the NFL draft, because you can't go in banking on what you currently have and finding someone in the draft.
Yeah, and I do think that, to me, because Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen feel like your strongest position group as a whole, sometimes I feel like they have been neglected when we're talking about this free agent. I do not have an edge on my list. But they would be, if we were going 6 players, that 6th player would probably be an edge for me. I am going to go to my next player. People are probably yelling, why hasn't she said any sort of offensive lineman yet? So I'm going to go ahead and knock out 2 of those with my next 2 picks. And I'm going to start with in free agency with Will Freeze. Obviously a familiar name here because he's been in Indy. He is coming off an injury, so that is something that you have to look into. What does that look like? That's some of the things they're going to have to address. How long is he going to be out? Will he be ready by camp? There's still some question marks around that, but he's a former 7th round pick who in 2 seasons earned his way into a starting position in Indy. And you could tell right away last year when he got hurt how bad and how things got on that offensive line as soon as he wasn't there. So it did kind of feel like he was a little bit of the anchor, a little bit of the glue of that offensive line last year in Indy. Before he got hurt, he had his career best in pass block win rate and run block win rate. So he can do both of them. That's something that I feel like here we haven't seen a lot of. We have a lot of offensive linemen that can do one or the other, but not both. So to me, that is somebody, if you want to bring in some experience, the injury you want to look into too. So you just had an injured player too that we're talking about too.
We've been hurt, Taylor. It's kind of like the arm length thing. Unfortunately, our brains have been hurt over the last 5 years. This is where we default to.
Yeah, but I'm going to go that offensive lineman, and I do think that multiple offensive linemen will be addressed between free agency and the draft, but I do think that you need to target at least a couple in free agency, because I do think that interior offensive line is deep in both, which is definitely beneficial for what the Jags need this season.
So Drew Dahlman is a name that a couple of our Heeligans have submitted on the text line, as well as the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line, as well as Twitter. That's not a name I've really heard you talk a whole heck of a lot on, a lot about during your coverage of the Chicago Bears as well during the year.
Yeah, I haven't honestly talked much about him at all. I've seen a few of the Tevin Jenkins, and I've seen people drop that name a lot. I will say I love Tevin Jenkins. I love him. He just has not had one single healthy season, and that concerns me highly, because it hasn't been just little things here and there. It's been neck, it's been back, it's been concussions, it's been stuff that has kept him out for longevity. If he can find a way to stay healthy, Tevin Jenkins is one of the better guards in the league, but it scares me. I don't know really what he'll be asking, but when it comes to the Bears on that side, I would not take any offensive lineman from the Bears outside of Tevin Jenkins. I'll tell you that right now.
That was what somebody on the text line submitted about Alex Kappa. Said that,
seriously, probably not 2 lines you want to be looking at.
Thank you, 678. Just got released from the Bengals. I don't know much about him other than he's a guard, and Burrow got sacked a lot. You are not wrong there. But Drew Dahlman, why is that a name that
I wonder why that's popping up?
Yeah, because we've now had 3 or 4 submissions on our various ways to interact with you guys.
Atlanta last year?
Yes, he was in Atlanta, but then obviously was also with the Chicago Bears once upon a time.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember much about him.
So it looks like
I think he was on our practice squad for a minute.
Right.
So I don't think we ever actually saw him on a game day.
He was drafted by the Falcons in the 4th round of the 2021 NFL draft. He was the Falcons starting center in 2022, and then it looks like he got released at some point or another, and then ended up on the Bears practice squad, which is interesting to me because this is the same town that wants to run Luke Fortner out of it. So to me, this reads like Luke Fortner. So hit us up at 641-1010 and explain to us why Drew Dahlman should be a pick for the Jaguars in free agency. Final name for me on my wish list. Again, you can pick from the draft, free agency, 5 names that you want if you were to go shopping that you want on the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2025. And this one I know is a pipe dream, especially because in my scenario, in case you missed it, I have the Jaguars selecting Will Campbell, trading back a little bit to number 7, but then they trade back into the 1st round and select Gray Zabel. I don't know if they'll have the capital. I don't think he's going to be there in the 3rd round, maybe in the 2nd, but I think there's other needs you need to address in the 2nd. I do love, independent of the awful off the field issues that are going on right now, I do love Jack Batch as a match for the Jacksonville Jaguars because his comp is Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
That is his ceiling. He is a wide receiver who can play all three wide receiver positions. Started his career at LSU. Quite frankly, probably transferred because, two guys by the name of Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors were ahead of him on the depth chart. Yeah. And still has a great relationship with not only those two, but Mason Smith, the rest of that LSU crew. So he's kind of an honorary Tiger, as well as having played for TCU last year. Again, a guy who is not afraid to get involved in blocking. He's not afraid to get dirty. That is what you're going to see across the board from Liam Cohen because we've seen it with Sean McVay's Rams. We've seen it with Kevin O'Connell up in Minnesota. We certainly saw it last year with the Bucs. If you're playing wide receiver, you better be ready to block. It is an expectation, and it's something that Brian Thomas Jr. talked about during the pre-draft process and ultimately when he first was selected here by the Jacksonville Jaguars, that it's an area of his game that it was non-negotiable during his time at LSU playing for Cortez Hankins. And so that's why I look at Betch. He is made to be a Jaguar, but I ultimately think he'll go, if not end of the first, maybe the second round. I know his testing wasn't necessarily off the charts, but he is a guy who is, dare I say, intangibly rich.
Hey, what is his off the field stuff?
His brother was involved in the New Orleans shooting on New Year's Day. His brother, who played at Princeton, played football. He unfortunately passed away. He was one of the victims. So.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's another position group that I did not address in these five, but I do think we are going to have that conversation a lot, especially once we get closer to this Christian Kirk conversation and what you're going to do with Kirk. And if you feel like a Parker Washington, you're confident in just kind of keeping those three right now and how early you want to draft a wide receiver. I'm going to go another offensive lineman because I wouldn't be Taylor if I did not. And I'm going to say center Jared Wilson. You and I talked a little bit about him. But I just think, first of all, he's the first Bulldog to win his position 40-yard dash ever.
He was elite.
He was
elite at the combine.
And so I know we're not all about the RAS scores and stuff like that, but he is, in this 2025 draft class, he scored a 9.98 out of a possible 10, ranked second out of 622 offensive centers from 1987 to 2025. And so when you read things about him, they talk about his, obviously the speed is something when it comes to like getting downfield and helping block linebackers and stuff like that. It's a massive thing. But also they talk about his processing skills and how quick his processing skills are when it comes to kind of countering moves and stuff from the defensive linemen. And so to me, I'm going to say it 100 million times. I want to see at least two new interior guys on the line. So I think somebody like that being able to get a center in front of Trevor that I know can be here for a long time, and we don't have to keep having this revolving door of guys in front of him with no sort of consistency, no cohesiveness whatsoever. Starting to build that interior in front of Trevor is just so massively important to me.
So to recap, folks, I have on my top 5 wish list for the Jacksonville Jaguars between free agency and the draft. I have Will Campbell, tackle, soon to be guard out of LSU. Gray Zabel, tackle, soon to be center out of North Dakota State and trading back into the first round. Harrison Smith, the veteran safety out of Minnesota. Malcolm Kuntz on a prove-it deal from the Las Vegas Raiders coming off the knee injury. And the pipe dream, Jack Betch, wide receiver, TCU/LSU. Taylor has Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Maxwell Harrison, the corner out of Kentucky. I'm curious to see if he gets out of the first round.
I know.
After running the 4-3.
That's why I'm a little worried about that one too, but if you could get him at the top of the second, I'm here for
Trade
it.
up. Yeah. Trade up to 33 if you can. Cam Bynum by way of the Minnesota Vikings. Will Freeze, the offensive lineman from the Colts. And Jared Wilson, the center out of Georgia, who had the fastest 40-yard dash of any offensive lineman at the NFL Scouting Combine on Sunday. We will discuss our wish list coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We also have a very special Terminex Pest of the Day. We're going to tie together not only our Pest of the Day, but some controversial news in women's basketball. What if I told you, folks, that the SEC's seeding was decided by a coin flip for the SEC tournament? We'll discuss coming up next here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday. Put some wedge in your next chassis adjustment.
He said he was a little bit free.
This Sunday at Phoenix, NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on your NASCAR station. 1010XL.
Florida homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contract is the
protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Spend $6,000 and get up to $600 off. $15,000 up to $2,000 off. $20,000 up to $3,000 off. This deal ends March 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Whether you're tackling overflowing closets, a messy garage, or an unorganized pantry, Closets by Design will create a custom storage system that helps you breeze through spring season stress and mess-free. Mia here. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation, and don't forget to take advantage of 40% off any order of $1,000 or more, 30% off any order of $700 to $1,000, plus an extra 15% off with 18 months special financing. Give them a call today at Closets by Design.
HVAC system not doing its job? Don't panic. Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Dial 904-862-6769 now and let our friendly team handle the dirty work so you don't have to.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
My name is Ann. I'm 67 years old. I lost 25 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. I have so much more energy. I feel at least 20 years younger. I can run up the stairs now where it was a little bit hard for me. My knees would always hurt. I had shoulder pain. I've had elbow pain. I think it's all pretty much from the weight that I had on my body, on my frame. It feels amazing that Awaken 180 offers free maintenance for life. The fact that I have free coaching when the weight loss process is over is absolutely amazing to me.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Less joint pain, more energy, reducing medications. The benefits of losing weight with Awaken 180 are endless. The ability to maintain that weight loss, priceless. Free support for life. Online at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia Demo Truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville, all the details on their Facebook page.
Hicken Chicken here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Dogtopia at Beach in St. John's Bluff. The Gators men's basketball team came away with another top 25 win this weekend, defeating the 12th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies. Will Richard hit 6 3-pointers and scored 25 points, while Thomas Houck added another 17 points for the 89-70 victory. Head coach Todd Golden is again proud of his team for their performance as the regular season gets close to the end.
Just incredibly proud of the way we played and our ability to kind of get away from them at the end, but They made it really hard on us in the second half. It felt like we were tightening up a little bit. They cut it to 6. Will hit a huge 3 to take it back to 9 and give us a little bit of breathing room and allowed us to keep a little bit of distance away from them in the second half. But I say it all the time, but every game feels like the Super Bowl in this league, and tonight felt that way.
It's 67 degrees at 101. Time and Temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
1 o'clock hour is here. WeKeepJacksRolling.com is where you can find our friends from Big Chief Tire. We keep it rolling. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, Lauren Brooks has the week off. JJ LaSelva hanging out with us in place of RJ Saunders, who was in on the drill this morning as well. Quick little programming note, Taylor Dahl, or rather an edit by us. So evidently, your friends in the Chicago Bears universe have gotten a hold of Drew Dahlman's Wikipedia page. He has never played for the Chicago Bears, as our text line
I did not recognize
Twitter
his name
have
at all.
informed us. Yes, thank you to the Heeligans for the clarification. He has played
We've had like 75 offensive linemen in the last 4 years, so I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yes, he has been with the Falcons his entire career. He is a pending free agent, according to at least a couple of the Heeligans. He is considered a top 3 to 5 center in the game. He was PFF's 4th-ranked center last year. Thank you, Matt, for that one. I just can't come away from the comments last week in Indianapolis, Taylor, and believe that the Jaguars will find their next center through free agency once again. Yeah. I do not see that as a reality. That's part of why in my top 5 wish list, I have them trading back into the first round to get Gray Zabel to find and draft that next center of the future for the next 10 years. Because
I also have them drafting a center. So we both went that route,
I just can't come off of, if the offensive line is the most important thing, in the words of Liam Cohen, I can't believe that they would just slap a Band-Aid free agent fix on it. And not saying that Drew Dahlman is a Band-Aid free agent fix, but it's going outside your organization and not building from inside out.
Yeah, and that's what, to my point with Jared Wilson, I feel like it's so important to get somebody in here that can build this relationship with Trevor, because I think Mitch Morse is probably the only guy that ended up working out at all from last year's free agency class. So I'm not trying to totally push Mitch Morse out of the conversation, because I think he played well. But Mitch Morse he's on the other end. He's like getting to that side where you do have to find something else. So are you going to spend another year with that? Or are you going to go draft a guy and find the guy that's going to be with Trevor for the next 10 years?
It is a question that we will debate throughout the course of the next few weeks, let alone the next few days, because I know some of you wanted us to run through the calendar again. The tag deadline is tomorrow. Monday is when the tampering window opens. At 4 o'clock Wednesday, the league year officially begins, and free agent signings can become official. You will start hearing about those signings that have been agreed to in principle Monday after noon p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, the NFL draft. I don't think I need to tell you guys, the last weekend in April. Let's take a brief foray away from the National Football League, because Taylor Dahl She's got something that's bugging her. And JJ, I can't wait to get your reaction to this.
Now, Lauren's Terminix Pest of the Day.
So this is, when I read this, first of all, I thought it was a joke. So let me just say that to start. Because if you've heard me on this show at all complain about even the rules when it comes to the NFL overtime rule and how I hate that it's that coin toss that just pretty much decides things at the end, this literally is a coin toss deciding something. So if you do not know, on January 12th, this is women's basketball, Texas dropped its first SEC game against the defending champions and South Carolina Gamecocks. Less than a month later, the Gamecocks traveled to Austin for the second game in front of a sold-out Moody Center. Longhorns handed South Carolina its first conference loss in 57 games at that point. So they ended up splitting their games throughout the season, and then they both end with Texas ends up just throttling the Florida Gators in their final game. Gamecocks avoided upset against Kentucky. So it ends up coming down to where they're tied for the SEC after the game, and it goes to a coin toss to decide who gets the number 1 seed. So they said after the Texas trashed Florida and South Carolina survived an upset number 15 Kentucky, the conference leaders waited until the halftime of the matchup between Ole Miss and LSU. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey took on the court to make the decision, and the Gamecocks got lucky. So the Gamecocks will be the number 1 seed, and South Carolina will be the number 2 seed because of this coin toss that is deciding this.
Greg Sankey himself did the coin toss.
Yes.
Wow.
In a game. Just walked out.
Why
He's like,
don't they make it like a point differential or points scored, or at the very least tug of war?
I love the tug of war.
Arm wrestling.
We did do a little intel on this, JJ. So I do host, for those of you who don't know, I do host the women's basketball podcast through our friends at OG Triangle Media. Help out with Mitch Northam, who of course you can read at SB Nation and For the Win. And so I texted Mitch and I said, I don't need to know your take because we're recording our weekly podcast later tonight, but Taylor and I need clarification. Like, how did this happen? And he says the simple answer is because the SEC wants to do it that way. There's a lot of other ways to decide seeding, head-to-head results of the 2 teams against the highest seed. Like in most other conferences, JJ, to your point, they have several other criteria.
Yeah, to get to a coin toss, it has to be like 7th down.
Winning percentage above 500, winning percentage against teams that are above 500 in terms of their record, scoring margin, record against quad 1 opponents. That's what the Big 10 uses. That's what the Big 12 uses. Greg Sankey, as Mitch notes, said, screw that math. We are going to make this a TV show.
That's so, and that's it. So that was one of the things I read, that this is straight up their number 3 option. Like that's the third next.
So he was there knowing this would happen. Like,
yes,
he went to the game knowing, like, hey, this is going to be hilarious.
Yeah, let me go walk out on the court at halftime and flip this coin.
Did he use just a regular quarter? Because, you know, like,
out of his pocket.
in the NFL, they always have, like, a commemorative coin.
So the coin was sent to me, the photo. It looks like it's a commemorative coin, JJ.
He was ready.
Yeah. No, he came ready.
He didn't just pull out a penny.
I would have, if he had, he just pulled out a penny or a dime, and he's like, hey, go do this.
I just love, and then also the way that, like, he held it up. He put it on the back of his hand.
So like, who also called it? Like he just did it by himself? Like he said heads and flipped it?
Yeah, I guess. And
he is the
looks
boss.
it looks like, I'm looking at it, I think it had South Carolina and Texas on either side of it.
Now, when he flipped it, did he catch it with his palm and then flip it again onto the top of his hand? Or did he just let it, rest where it fell?
Well, the way that he held it up for everyone, he had it resting on the top of his hand, which, I think that logo kind of looks like South Carolina. So
Because in the NFL, they just kind of let it fall on the ground.
No, it looks like, yeah. Here we go. All right, so he was he literally flipped it in the air. Like, I'm looking at it right now. Like,
and did he catch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it actually.
He flips it on the back of his hand, yeah.
Oh, that's fishy.
And also,
he's just holding it there.
Didn't
and also,
like...
someone's tweet caption says, updated countdown to coin flip with the whole coin twist. Electric scenes at the SEC headquarters.
Yeah, so he wasn't in Columbia. He was at SEC headquarters, and he's got all the flags behind. But he was ready. Like, there's a TV crew waiting at SEC headquarters for Greg Sankey to flip a coin.
Yeah, it said he waited for that halftime at the Ole Miss LSU, and then I guess at the SEC headquarters was like, all right, it's time.
It wouldn't shock me if Sankey has a film crew on him at all times. He just seems like that kind of guy. Be like, listen, this is going to be important later. We're going to make a documentary. Don't you know how important I am?
So, true story, my first year working here in Jacksonville when I was still at the news station, there was a coin flip in the high school football playoffs.
Now, that happens all the time
right.
in high school.
Correct. But we are talking.
Yes.
Not
SEC
only,
to the SEC tournament.
Not only Division I college basketball, we are talking about the conference that bangs its chest and says that we are the best conference in all of collegiate sports.
Well, and so Dawn Staley, I guess, made a comment on it, and she said it was kind of exciting. I didn't know that 8 other sports use a coin flip. That was news to me. I feel a little bit better about it now. I'm like, well, yeah, but they use it like 7, 8
not right
chances.
away.
Yeah, not the third option of the tiebreaker. That does not happen. Could you imagine if that was the NFL and they're like, okay, like so-and-so and so-and-so are tied, so we're just going to flip the coin, and that's the person that wins their division.
I mean, as is, that's what we have in overtime, and until a few years ago for the postseason.
People lose their mind about that, but you still even, like, technically everyone's like, well, the defense stops them, and you can still win, but it seems like we've seen this, it's trended towards whoever wins that coin flip, the majority of the time has won the game.
I think I saw it earlier this last week. It was like 58% in the regular season who win the coin toss end up winning.
Oh, really?
And so they're looking to change the rules to make it more like the playoff rule, which is both teams. Even if you score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball.
Here's the other thing. Overall record, independent of your conference record, Texas is 26-2. South Carolina is 25-3. This doesn't have to be that hard. It literally does not have to be this hard. So Texas is still the number 1 team in the country. Last regular season games were yesterday. Conference tournaments in the Power 4 for women's college basketball will be this week. So Texas is number 1 in the AP poll. They're number 1 in the coaches poll. South Carolina is 6 in both. Texas has the better overall record, but South Carolina is the 1 seed in the
women's
tournament.
college basketball, do they have a site where they play, or is that a bigger deal because it's going to be a home game?
They have a site.
Okay. So I guess it's seeding, I guess. You
like
play
how
an
much
easier
does it
schedule,
matter?
but it probably doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, it's very interesting, though. And so just a reminder that Terminix handles the pest control for all of your favorite event venues, Everbank Stadium, Daly's Place, 5-Star Financial Ballpark, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena, and many more. If you have any pest or termite issues, visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
Hey, guess where the SEC women's basketball tournament is?
Oh, my gosh, where?
Greenville, South Carolina. We'll be back with our friend Daniel Griffiths on the other side on a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. It's the season of sandals and sundresses.
And the Players' Championship.
Listen for 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates. Channeled by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Magnified.
And Kingfish Pest Control.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Mia here for Pro-Jax Roofing. Here on the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro-Jax Roofing. Mike has been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get some recording, you get Mike himself. Find Mike's cell phone number on ProJaxRoofingFL.com. That's ProJaxRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third stringer. Call in the starter with Mike at Pro-Jax Roofing.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then, strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained builders deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Find the Celt in you. March 9 and 10 at the St. Augustine Celtic Music and Heritage Festival with Celtic bands, Highland Games, St. Patrick's Parade and more. CelticStAugustine.com. Sponsored by St. John's County TDC.
Here's Linda Beaver.
It's a new year with new goals, but let's face it, not all resolutions are easy to keep. Maybe you promised yourself you'd eat healthier, but pizza still seems like a better idea. Or you said you'd read more, but your favorite show just launched a new season. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we can help you keep your New Year's resolution. We offer the biggest selection, best prices, and the easiest car buying experience. Let's make a resolution to visit Beaver Toyota or Beaver Chevrolet, where we'll wow you with a new ride for the new year.
I'm Max Fink, and I'll bring you the Gator Report several times weekly to keep you connected to Gainesville.
The Gator Report, put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gator! What does it mean when someone says the continental United States?
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates when it's time to renew. Before storm season, log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote or find an agent in your area.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The continental United States refers to all United States in North America. Hawaii is in the southern hemisphere.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
All right, welcome back in. We are now going to talk a little bit more Jaguars. We've talked the draft and the guys that we would like to see. 5 names, each of us listed, Mia and I, that we would like to see on the Jaguars between free agency and the draft. But now let's get to some of the other more detailed, in-depth Jaguars talk, and maybe a little bit of Gators, too. We're joined now by Daniel Griffiths. He's the sports data guy. You'll find him on Twitter at Dan D. Griffiths. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. It was a super last minute, Daniel, so we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you guys for having me back.
Of course. I want to start with a graph, a chart that you made last week that was absolutely fascinating because it's about Trevor Lawrence. And I think anything right now as we're having these conversations about Trevor and the expectations of this season, what Liam Cohen can do when we're adding a run game and offensive line and all of these things, and you kind of hope that some more checkdowns and things like that start happening in a Liam Cohen offense. But you broke down pretty much everything when it comes to his passer rating, Trevor Lawrence's passer rating, and pretty much every situation, short, intermediate, deep, quick, long, when he's pressured, blitz, all of those sort of things. What were your biggest takes out of making this and kind of breaking it down when it comes to Trevor Lawrence?
Well, the good deep passing, which I think we all kind of know, he's one of the best NFL deep throwers in the league. But when you look at stuff that needs to be higher, short and intermediate, especially intermediate, the Jaguars kind of are adverse to throwing over the middle of the field. They're certainly not at the top of the league. I think they were 25th targeting the middle of the field. And as well as routes that go over the middle of the field. They were last in crossers, between slants, crossers, and digs. They were 31st. So the Jaguars' routes were really hitches and outs. They accounted for 44% of their targeted routes. And there's just not a lot that you can work with there in terms of yak. So I think that's a big area that Liam Cohen can instantly come in and improve. That's something that he did with Tampa, with Baker Mayfield. They didn't throw the ball downfield a lot. They ran a lot of screens. And that's something that, Jaguar fans love the deep ball from Trevor Lawrence. But if you don't have a great running game, the screens can do a lot for you, basically simulated run plays. And you got to get the intermediate and short up. I have it here on me. Trevor Lawrence was 31st at a 35 and 29th at a 35 in short and intermediate completion percentages, and that's just not going to be good enough. So that's an area that the Jaguars need to improve. Gabe Davis hopefully can come back and be a better receiver than he was last year. We'll see with Christian Kirk, but obviously BTJ is your guy there.
Daniel, I've got to tell you, I had your stat regarding Doug Peterson's use of crossers. I had that pulled up, bookmarked on my laptop when I left for Indianapolis last week. And I was like, okay, I'm going to fit it somehow into the show once I land in Indy and we do the show Tuesday. And before I could even do that, Frank Frangie confronted me and was like, did you see Daniel Griffiths' stat about crossers? And I was like, actually, as a matter of fact, I have it pulled up right now. That one for me is the most damning, coupled with the stat regarding slants, because number one, in case you missed it, Doug Peterson's use of crossers was 10th in the National Football League in 2022, somehow 31st and 32nd the next 2 years. So not really sure what the common denominator is there. I mean, maybe a guy named Press Taylor. But also with regards to the slant route, that is a conversation that I had with so many, not just around the league, but specifically here in Jacksonville, Daniel, regarding Calvin Ridley. His best route was a slant, and I think he ran 5 total slant routes his entire season in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and it's really, it's a play that how many times have you seen it just in any game ever where, you go let your guy win on a play, whether it's third down or goal to go or whatever, to where, you have a guy you can trust, get it to him, let him get some separation. You don't need a lot of separation, but, especially if how good some of the Jaguars receivers have been in the slot. I think that the team is sorely missing out. And it's a play that, you're throwing it over the middle of the field, make a guy miss and go run for 60 yards. The Jaguars were sorely bad at that the last, pretty much every season ever. But, outside of BTJ, the Jaguars receivers averaged 3.3 yards after the catch. BTJ was at 6.7.
Wow.
So you got to find some magic after the catch, especially with Mac Jones. I would think this season you lose Trevor Lawrence, maybe you try to get some easy throws over the middle to get some big plays, and it just didn't happen.
So, Daniel, obviously stats are your area of expertise. So I want to take this from the stats to the world we live in, which is, are you suggesting to me that all the Jaguars need in terms of wide receiver production is the slight turn of the knob that is Liam Cohen, and that with the same personnel, they could see different results in a different scheme?
I think it would help, but I think that you probably have to find some help outside of who they have. I mean, the decider on Christian Kirk will be a big thing. I think highly of him. I'd be okay if the Jaguars go either way. They decide to roll with cutting him after June 1st, or if they keep him, I think that both are fine. But I think you probably need some help there outside of BTJ. They've talked about some contested catch guys, whether it's McMillan from Arizona, but I think that they are not good enough at this point in time.
A couple of the other notes when it comes to that passer rating in certain situations that you had in this. That number one, the Jags led the NFL in targeting first reads every season under Doug Peterson. Number two, you had that Trevor Lawrence was just 7 for 29 outside of the pocket in 2024. And then number three, you had that Trevor Lawrence luckily was rarely blitzed, because that blitz number passer rating, I think, was like a 71.17 or something like that when he was being blitzed. So a few things out of that. Number one, do you see that that first read area changing with Doug Peterson being gone, or do you think that's a Trevor thing? But number two, also when it comes to the blitz, would you expect other teams to start noticing that he struggles under that and focusing on it, or do you think that because it's a small sample size, that's why the number looks that way?
It probably is that to some degree. I also think that the Jaguars just got the ball out so quick that it was kind of hard. I think teams just more so relied on, we'll back pad the secondary. It's pretty hard to get pressure when you're throwing the ball in 2.3 seconds. But in regards to Doug Peterson being gone for first read, I believe, if I remember correctly, Tampa was either 4th or 5th this season in first reads. So I don't know how much that'll change. I don't think it's a Trevor thing. I think that the Jaguars' offense was predicated on him getting the ball out as quickly as possible to his first read. You saw his TT time to throw was among the lowest, him and Tua pretty much every year. But yeah, Liam Cohen as well. They'd like to get the ball out quick. A lot of that is also their screen game. But he was not at the top of the board in his rookie season. And then with Doug Peterson there, it tended to be.
You can find Daniel on X at Dan D. Griffiths. That's Griffis, keeping us abreast on all the very latest when it comes to stats and info and analytics for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Daniel, let's flip it on over to the offensive line. That is certainly, as we've, I think, exhausted ad nauseum on this program alone today, let alone on the Superstation over the last few weeks. That has been the rallying cry from Liam Cohen since he arrived in Jacksonville. That has been the rallying cry from Tony Baselli, James Gladstone. For you, when you look at the Jaguars' offensive line, we look at the stats, we look at the numbers, what they did last year. What sort of offensive line scheme can we expect, especially with some influences from the Minnesota Vikings also being a factor in this new Liam Cohen era of Jaguars offensive football?
Yeah, in terms of scheme, Jaguars and Tampa both last year ran a man gap scheme. I imagine that'll probably be the same. Tampa led the NFL in yards per carry. I think that probably 3 of your starting O-linemen return definitely as starters. I'd imagine Ezra Cleveland, Walker Little, and Anton Harrison. So personnel-wise, at most you can replace 2 starters. I kind of expect Mitch Morse to at least start the season at center if they find some competition for him, whether it's the draft or free agency. But I think the right guard is your big hole right now. It's not a great guard class in free agency. I'd like to see them probably double dip. Maybe you go after a guy like Will Fries now that it looks like Trey Smith is out of the equation. And the Jaguars should have some good eyes on Will Fries from Indy, considering that they get to play him twice a year. And we see division transfers pretty often in free agency. So I'd expect the Jaguars to do the research on Fries.
Yeah, Fries was actually on my list of when we just named in the first hour our 5 players we'd like to see here. So that's interesting. And I do think that when we talk about the offensive line, the other part of that, Daniel, is the run game. And that's just a massive part of what Liam Cohen talks about. It's a massive part of what's happening in both college football and the NFL right now is the resurgence in the NFL of running backs and the importance of them. And I think that when you look at Jacksonville, and I know you did a breakdown on both Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne too, what are your thoughts? Do you think those are the two guys that are able to run a Liam Cohen type offense? Because we saw what he did with Bucky Irving. Which of those guys do you see being the lead back in that type of scenario too?
It's going to be really interesting. I would like to believe that Tank probably gets a good amount of carries on, especially on first and second down. What I'm most interested to see is how much Liam Cohen can help those two on third down, pass pro, and receiving. Neither one of them has been especially great. Travis Etienne had the second most pressures allowed of any running back, and Tank Bigsby didn't even play enough to qualify on third down. You mentioned how poor they are running the ball 32nd yards before contact per attempt. You hardly get to the line. Luckily, Bigsby was decent enough last year to kind of make up for that after contact. But I'd really, really like to see a redemption arc from Travis Etienne this coming season. I still think he's a really good player and can do a lot for you. Hopefully the Jaguars see that, and the new offense can do a lot for him.
Daniel, we could talk to you all day, but let's end on this until our next visit with you. Tight end, a position that I think is going to be rather fascinating, knowing what Liam Cohen ran in Tampa, knowing what he ran at Kentucky back in the day, knowing what the Rams have trotted out at the position before. We actually just had a Healigan text in and suggest that maybe Harrison Bryant in free agency might be a move. For me, and I don't know how much draft research you've done just yet, but for me, knowing the early returns or that you can find a starter at tight end in the 4th or 5th round, at least that's what the national pundits are saying in this NFL draft, and knowing Evan Ingram is entering the final year of a 3-year deal, I'm curious what your thoughts are, A, on how vital the tight end will be in Liam Cohen's system, and B, where the Jaguars go to flesh out that room.
Yeah, I think it'll be huge. Trevor's, Evan Ingram broke the record 2 years ago with most receptions from a tight end. So I think that, Trevor is a guy who really likes to target his tight end. It is a really deep tight end class. So you could definitely move on there. Brenton Strange has shown some, he showed up last year when Ingram went down. And then, it really impressed me. I was, I think a lot of Jaguars fans and media and the staff were a little weary on what Brent Strange could develop into, and I was very impressed with him last season. So if they decide to go that route, I think you could definitely get a day 3 guy similar to the running back situation to really help out and kind of give some depth to the offense, wide receiver included into that. It never hurts to have too many guys. Ingram's got a big number coming up this season, and he's in his final deal. But I'd be interested to see a Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange-led quarterback tight end season next year. I think that'd be really, really fun.
All right, Daniel, well, we appreciate it. I know we'll probably have you on some more before the draft because this is your specialty when it comes to some of this area of maybe guys we will be adding in free agency. So we appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys for having me.
Again, Daniel Griffiths, you can find him on X at Dan D. Griffiths, the very latest when it comes to stats regarding your Jacksonville Jaguars and beyond in the National Football League. One segment to go. We'll pivot back to several of your top 5s. Again, we're letting you go on a shopping spree. This is March. It's Christmas in March. Between free agency and the draft, who are the 5 players that you want the Jacksonville Jaguars to add for the 2025 season? This is Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. 1010XL is your home for Jacksonville University basketball.
It's tournament time at Swisher Gym. ASUN quarterfinals. JU Eastern Kentucky. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast orthopedic specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast orthopedic specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast orthopedic specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast orthopedic specialists.
Mia here. You want to know what I'm so over? Resolutions. I mean, you're just kind of setting yourself up for a letdown, right? But you want to know what I am into? The revolution, hitting the road in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. So what do you say? Join the Arlington Toyota Revolution and save big with financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. 0%. Or join the revolution with up to $8,500 off select new Toyotas. I like saving $8,500, don't you? Plus, every new Toyota purchase from Arlington Toyota comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. And Arlington's 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Now's the time to save big and join the revolution in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Hayes Carlion for Physician Guided Weight Loss. I'm down 20 pounds already thanks to Physician Guided Weight Loss. I feel great, and it's all thanks to them. Their amazing technology, fast setup, friendly staff, and proven results have sold me. They can help you too, and it's affordable with firm pricing. No rising costs as you go. If you're like me and looking to kick off the new year with a leaner body, call my friends at Physician Guided Weight Loss at 257-4344. That's 257-4344.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's exclusive 31-day spring event. Experience superior craftsmanship and timeless design with buy one, get one 40% off custom replacement windows and patio doors. Enjoy the ease of zero down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires March 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors to get the job done right. Z Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit Coastal Equipment for a demo today.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
Share a cup of coffee and range balls with Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros. Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Sounds like a lot of club for this young man.
Brunch with the tour.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation, 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
If you never saw Zeppelin live, now you can know what it's like. And if you did, relive the magic of Led Zeppelin live. Get the Let Out is back at Florida Theater March 12th. Get the Let Out. Find out what it felt like to see Zeppelin live. Get tickets now at floridatheater.com.
E.T. here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
Is your office productivity running at full speed? Advanced Business Solutions has a solution with Xerox copiers. Whether you need high volume printing, scanning, or secure document management, Xerox copiers deliver efficiency, quality, and innovation. With features like cloud integration and mobile printing, Xerox is perfect for any modern office. Let ABS help you streamline your workflow. Veteran-owned Advanced Business Solutions.
Advanced Business Solutions.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard?
That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Yes, to Jesus on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. Maybe it's Jesus, maybe it's Jesus. Looks like we have a bunch of experts on this feed. We appreciate all of the experts in Healigan Nation for chiming in on our top 5 exercise. If you were to go on a shopping spree for the Jacksonville Jaguars between free agency and the NFL draft, who are those 5 players you want to see added to the 2025 roster? We've learned a lot. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I've looked at free agency, but certainly with our preparation for the 1010XL draft guide, and certainly, I don't know, with the head coaching and general manager searches that have taken up much of my life for the last 6 weeks, haven't really dove all that much into free agency, especially knowing that pretty much across the board, Taylor Dahl, the conversation has been it's not like there is an elite crop that you can grab in free agency. So I apologize. I don't know who Drew Dahlman is. I apologize. I didn't know he was the 4th-ranked center on PFF this past season and that he has spent his entire career up to this point with the Atlanta Falcons. But he is a name that I will certainly do a little more digging on, although I do want to cool down by saying I don't see the Jaguars signing another center in free agency. I just don't. They are going to draft whoever they believe is going to be that fortifying force along their offensive line.
Yeah, I also, because The Athletic did a breakdown also of their top free agent, their rankings for every single position. I think they have 10, 12, something like that in each position group, and they do not have him on their list either. So that doesn't mean anything. I don't know. That's just The Athletic and their top one. Their guards they have Will Freeze, Mekhi Becton, and that's one thing about free agency too is a lot of these guys that you see on this list, the teams will find, some of these guys will be staying on their teams, or we're seeing some guys start to retire, or we're seeing stuff like that start to happen. So some of them we won't even have a chance at. But Patrick McCarry, Tevin Jenkins, Ben Bredson, Brandon Sheriff, James Daniels, Kevin Zietler, Aaron Banks, and Will Hernandez are the guards on the Athletics top guard list. So it's obviously something to keep an eye out on there. But I did want to mention a couple things too, because we talked about some of these, the draft guys. And I saw something interesting also when it comes to the next gen stats, which we talked about last week, that link that you can go to that now tracks everything. The next gen stats tracks everything, any of the drills they've done. It has an athletic score for them. It has everything broken down. So it's kind of cool how you can go and track every single prospect. You can break it down by position group. You can break it down by athletic score, all of that. But the top athletic scores, according to the next gen stats out of this combine, Tate Ratledge, offensive guard, was tied with Jared Wilson. So both of the Georgia guys, Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson, at 98 athleticism score. Behind that is Isaac Tesla, is that how you say it? Tesla, something like that, the wide receiver out of Arkansas. And then Isaiah Nayor, the other wide receiver out of Nebraska, he's one. And then Jackson Slater, an offensive center, 94. So those are the highest grade when it comes to these athletic scores. So those are just kind of cool things that Next Gen has started doing this year and tracking some of that stuff. Does that all transfer to certain things? No. But if you're starting to look at about the athleticism side of things, which we're seeing a lot of we talked about the defensive tackles and how quick and fast and athletic they look. So you probably want the offensive lineman to match that.
Taylor Dahl, I am stunned. We got an hour and 42 minutes into this program before we said
Tate Ratledge.
Tate Ratledge's name and Tate Ratledge's mullet.
I posted it earlier. Somebody made a edited video, and it was of his run, but in slow motion, and it had Freebird playing over the back of it. And if you do not know, he has the most fantastic mullet. If you do not know, I love mullets. And so 10 out of 10 mullet. Also, obviously one of the top guards that we're going to be talking about also.
I was proud of Connor Colby of Iowa, who I covered at Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Was proud of him. He grew out the mullet as well. So
I love it.
It was in full.
I feel like the offensive linemen should have mullets.
There was a lot. There were a lot of offensive linemen at the combine in Indianapolis yesterday, and yes, 6'5", they were all majestic and luxurious. A couple other quick notes. Speaking of the text line, I do want to give a shout out to the St. John's Country Day girls soccer team, officially the 2025 state champions in Class 1A after a 4-0 victory over the Pine School on Saturday. I also thought it was really cool that I believe it's called what's it, Bennington? I forget what the name of it is, but Tiger Woods' daughter, Sam,
I did see that. Yeah, she won.
Was playing on one of the teams competing at the state championship in the Final Four in DeLand the last week or so, and Tiger was in the crowd, just like any other soccer dad.
I love that.
And that was really exciting to see, and congrats to Sam and her team, who also took home a state title. I also would like to inform the Florida Gator fans out there, I tried. Just want you to know I tried. I have Florida 4th in this week's AP ballots, the Mobryan ballots. They are 5th in the AP poll, which just dropped about 40 minutes ago. Auburn and Duke remain the number 1 and number 2 teams in men's college basketball. Houston and Tennessee move into the 3 and 4 spot. Florida at 5. St. John's at 6. Alabama 7. Michigan State, Texas Tech 9. Iowa State 10 to round out the top 10. But I'll throw in one more since J.J. LaSelva has some ties to Clemson University. They clock in at number 11 in this week's AP poll. I think what's even more impressive, J.J., I don't know if you've been following.
Clemson men's basketball is number 11?
Yep.
Wow.
After going to the Elite Eight last year, a lot of people said, well, Brad Brownell had this great transfer class. He had P.J. Hall, who, of course, was a second-team All-American last year. He goes off to the NBA. You're like, there's no way Brad Brownell is going to run it back. He has, and John Shiflin, his star player, I think John is his first name, Shiflin is his last name. He literally, JJ, he looks like he could be a cousin of, why am I blanking on his name? From Frozen, who plays Olaf. Why am I blanking on the actor's name? He's in Beauty and the Beast. I should know his name right now. Why am I blanking on it? Because he did speech and debate. JJ's looking it up. He looks like he could be his cousin. He looks like he could be Jonah Hill's cousin, and he is the best player on Clemson.
Gad.
Josh Gad's cousin, yes.
Oh,
he looks like he could be Josh Gad's cousin. And Shiflin,
Josh Gad, not super athletic.
No, and neither is this Shiflin kid. I'm telling you, Google his name. Like, we brought it up when we had one of our Clemson friends. Ian Shiflin is his name. Sorry, Ian. Ian is his name. Ian Shiflin. Like, you look at this cat.
Oh, wow.
Right. He doesn't look like he would be a all-ACC basketball player. But he is.
He's such Josh Gad.
I love that about college basketball.
I know.
Usually I don't really know these guys until the tournament, and you're like, well, that's a goofy looking fella. And next thing you know, he's got like 25 and 10, shooting like 75%.
No, and so,
every year that happens where there's some guy that goes viral by the way he looks,
Yes.
but he also just goes ham in the game.
well, and now
Who was North Carolina State had a big boy a couple years ago.
What's his name? Whatchamacallit? DJ Burns.
I
DJ
loved him
Burns,
too.
the star of
Looked
March.
like a linebacker, but
the star of March from the ACC, which, yes, I know has been arguably the worst of the Power 5 conferences in men's college basketball this year. And Clemson,
Even with Duke?
Duke and Clemson are carrying the flag, dude. It's bad.
I heard I saw someone, a Big J journalist, I think it was Dan Woken, maybe,
I saw
complaining
this.
that Duke and North Carolina is college game day next week. And it's like, yeah, I get North Carolina sucks, but it's Duke, North Carolina.
They still average. I saw it was like over 3 million people, like for the game day, like not even for the actual game. Yeah, it's something absurd because it's religion up there. And win or lose, I mean, people are going to hate watch too. And the fact that Hubert Davis was not only given another year, he was given a contract extension last week through 2030.
The North Carolina coach.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And all they did, and I think this is like a bigger philosophical question. Maybe we get into it later in the week. Like, the solution was we're going to extend Hubert. We're going to lean all the way in because now we're going to hire a general manager. And it's on us that we didn't put this person in place to help him with talent acquisition because he's not the reason that this North Carolina team was starting 5 guards and having a player in Washington who should be playing the 3 having to post up every single night in the ACC at the center position. It's not Hubert's fault. It's our fault that we didn't give him the resources. It's fascinating to me. But yes, the ACC
So now
is a
that
contract.
GM's going to fire him.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the funny part. So college basketball, college sports, man. That's the new thing that's in vogue is you just go out and you hire the GM. It's not the coach's fault. Let the coach coach. Let the GM pick the players. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I mean, like, the question is that if all the Power 4 schools, and we saw last week, too, by the way, Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl has now left the Reese's Senior Bowl because now he's going to be the GM of Oklahoma football. Like, we have in the Power 4, Power 5s, depending on the sport, you have a GM for each sport. You're probably going to need a GM at the mid-majors for teams in the for schools in the ASUN, if I'm being completely honest, just because that's the way this is all heading.
Yeah, well, and especially if you want to have a general manager that obviously, and we've had this conversation here, you do need the right players, but it's interesting to go ahead and give somebody a long contract when you don't feel like they've proven it yet. But if you feel like with minimal, they're still able to make it, and maybe if you build this roster around and build it up, that they'll find success. But that's just a bold move to me.
It's fascinating. And speaking of bold, I'll end on this from 669 on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. So Clemson basketball is thriving in the transfer portal. It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Imagine that.
Let's get ready to say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
I'm keeping Joe Coward on his toes here. He's walking in. He's balancing his laptop, his coffee, 4 other things. And I'm like, here we go. Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
In true Joe Coward fashion.
Let's go.
I would expect, Joe, that a topic of conversation on your program today will be regarding this new finalized settlement with the ACC and the aforementioned Clemson Tigers in Florida State.
Well, Matt just texted, I swear, not that long ago. He's so ready to either bury the story or bury FSU and Clemson. And he's been saying it. He's been very consistent, steadfast about the whole thing. There is no other place to go that creates more financial windfalls of cash for Florida State. It's not a bad deal where they are. The others, the Big Tens or the SECs of the world, they're not interested, at least as the current structure is. So, yeah, give it up. Okay, learn how to get along with your conference, because the other thing is that whenever they decided to sue the conference, and I think both of you guys have talked about this, but once they decided to sue, then all the other conferences are looking like, do we really want them in our conference where they could do the same thing to us? So anyway, yeah, maybe we can finally put it to bed.
So Pete Thamel of ESPN did release some of the notes that are expected to come out of this agreement that would ultimately result in the settlement of the 4 ongoing lawsuits. 40% of TV money distributed evenly among the legacy ACC schools, 60% by ratings-based formula over the last 5 years. The top ACC earners could net more than $15 million. Some schools will see a deduction in annual payouts of about $7 million, and then the total cost to exit the league is expected to drop below $100 million in 2030.
So this is where I win the bet with Matt a little bit, because we would argue back and forth, and I'm like, look, there are blue bloods in that conference, and there are hangers on. There are field horses in that conference that are not carrying enough weight for the conference, and that's why it just, as a whole, it does not look as attractive as maybe some of the other ones. So anyway, FSU, Clemson, and if Miami keeps it going, they need to be paid more. They are the football brand of the Atlantic Coast Conference, period.
What do you guys have coming up, Joe?
Well, we'll be doing that. The Combine. Leon has done some analysis, man. He's breaking it down.
Oh, boy.
And when you have that
offensive lineman?
We're going to play, I think, coming back from break, every single time. JJ hopefully will do it. It's the Missouri offensive lineman grunting his way through the 40
I know. I meant to tell JJ, like, that is that not going to be like the meme of the year if he ends up
so
being
awesome.
bad? Like, there's no way.
And the mullet from Tate Ratledge. So we got plenty
fantastic.
To get into. Yeah.
So many. I tweeted earlier, I've been drooling over all of the offensive lineman videos all weekend because it's just, you want it so bad.
In such a big way. Yes.
One other quick note, we didn't get to Joe C, but I know you guys will. Jimmy Johnson has announced his retirement from TV. Obviously a good friend of Coach Campo, and so we wish him well. No coach today. He'll be in tomorrow.
Yeah, he's actually going to be in on Wednesday. So we're trying to move him around. He's a piece of he's a chess piece right now. So we're just moving him around. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about Jimmy Johnson because Leon was talking about seeing Carson Beck at practice down in Miami, not doing anything yet, But anyway, he's out there, and Eddie Hone was out there too, which is kind of cool.
Oh, boy. We can't wait for Story Time with Leon coming up next on XL Primetime. Thanks, Joe C. Our thanks to Daniel Griffiths for joining us on this Big Chief Tire Monday here on Helmets and Heels. We appreciate JJ LaSelva pinch hitting. Coach Campo's the ultimate pinch hitter here at 1010XL, but we appreciate JJ stepping in for RJ. For the vacationing Lauren Brooks, for Taylor Dahl, I am Mia O'Brien. We will catch you tomorrow.
You keep lying when you ought to be truthing.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. When your team is a predator, you're always on the hunt for more.
And the Jags are in the end zone again.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
And the Jaguars have cracked 50 points.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to